This is the Makeup pre-departure meeting. If you did not attend the pre-departure meeting, you must watch this video in its entirety and answer questions at the end. In this Makeup meeting, we will provide you with the following information: USF pre-departure documents, culture shock, health abroad and insurance, financial aid, registration, grades, differences in education, housing, withdrawing or extending your study abroad, safety, and travel preparations. All students must provide to the Center for Global Education the following pre-departure documents: passport information page. Bring your passport to our office so that we can scan it in high resolution and color. We will verify that your passport does not expire within the time frame required of your program and that you have signed your passport. Participant information sheet. This is an online form and provides us information about your program, emergency contact information, and health insurance. The form is located on the front page of our website at www.usfca.edu/studyabroad. Click the blue box at the top. Waiver of liability. This form can be picked up in our office at UC 5th floor. We must have your original signature on this form. Acceptance letter or email. Forward your acceptance email to studyabroad@usfca.edu or to your study abroad advisor. If you received an acceptance letter by mail, bring the letter to our office so that we can scan it to your file. Petition to enroll at another institution, PEAI. This form can be found in our office at UC 5th floor. This form is designed to confirm how your credits will transfer back to USF. In some programs, you will not be able to complete your PEAI prior to your departure. Keep in touch with your study abroad advisor if that is the case, and we will give you instructions on what to do while you are abroad. In every case, you must complete a PEAI before, during, or after your program in order for your credits to transfer back to USF properly. If you are participating in an external program during the fall or spring semester, you must complete a leave of absence. This form can be obtained in our office at UC 5th floor. Participation in any external program during any semester requires that you provide the Center for Global Education with overseas medical and travel insurance. This insurance might be included in your program fees and must be, at a minimum, include emergency medical assistance, emergency medical evacuation, and repatriation of remains. If your program does not include overseas medical and travel insurance, you must purchase it yourself. Contact your study abroad advisor for more information. Students participating in a USF-sponsored program are automatically covered free of charge under the ACE Europe Assist Overseas Medical and Travel Insurance. You will learn more about this later in this presentation. All USF pre-departure documents must be turned in to the Center for Global Education in UC 5th floor. If you're participating in a summer or fall program, the deadline to return these documents to our office is the first week of May. If you're participating in an intersession or a spring semester, you must return these documents to our office by the first week of December. Failure to do so will jeopardize your ability to study abroad. Besides the USF pre-departure documents, you will likely be required to complete pre-departure documents from your host institution. Do not procrastinate in getting your pre-departure documents completed.
Culture shock is the shock or impact you experience when moving from a familiar culture to an unfamiliar culture. It can affect anyone, even the most seasoned traveler. Culture shock is also the shock of being separated from important people in your life, family and friends, people you rely on to talk to when feeling stressed or in times of uncertainty. When familiar people, sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and language are no longer there, you miss them very much. Culture shock refers to both the experience of losing what is familiar and comfortable while adjusting to an environment that is unfamiliar and potentially uncomfortable. It is the shock of a new environment, meeting lots of people, learning new customs, being exposed to new food, adjusting to a different climate and time zone. For many of you, it also involves speaking a new language, along with this adapting to new communication norms, new dialect, and new jargon. Or culture shock is the struggle of adapting to a new academic environment. Many of you may experience uncertainty or experience vastly different cultural norms than you experience here, such as how to dress, form friendships, ask someone on a date, or engage in romantic connections. norms around time, scheduling, meeting with others, how you're viewed as a man or a woman, or how you experience your gender in a new culture may be very different. At times, you may also feel initially disappointed by mistaken or misguided expectations you had about what you experienced abroad. For instance, here's an experience of a student who traveled to Nicaragua. She said, "It was hard. The climate was really hot, so hot you couldn't breathe. The food was completely different. I didn't like the food because it was rice, beans, bananas, very little meat or fish. The culture was so different. Sometimes it was annoying, like when the people organizing a meeting didn't show up or showed up 3 hours late, and that was okay for them because it was part of their culture. I was a foreigner there. I'm their alien. They are in their world and I have to adjust to them, not them to me. I was going there thinking I could change something, but it's not like that. It's not so easy at all to do."
Cow just walked past me in the street. A child just asked for 10 rupees. I think I'm going crazy here, but I'm not. It's just a little culture shock. My cleaning lady cleans my floors. She's supposed to show at 9, she shows 10:34. They call it Indian Standard Time, but that's not fine by good old Central Standard Time. I'm in culture shock, what a mess. I need to rest from the stress, but it's not ending anytime soon. I'm here till sometime in May or June. My cleaning lady speaks no English. It can be kind of frustrating. She should have gone to school to learn. Why can't everyone learn to speak American? I gotta relax, take some time. This culture shock will pass in time. I think I'm going crazy here, but I'm not. It's just a little culture shock. I'm in culture shock, what a mess. I need to rest from the stress, but it's not ending anytime soon.
Here are some of the phases that individuals might go through when they experience culture shock. The first phase is something called the honeymoon phase. In this phase, you experience cultural differences as intriguing and exciting. You're open to new discovery and new experiences. Everything is great, nothing is wrong. Often the feeling experienced is that of excitement, happiness, and curiosity. For some, the honeymoon phase may last for some time, and they may not be surprised to feel suddenly that they are not coping. Subsequently, they may experience some culture shock. Culture shock is an experience where there's so many differences in the new country that you don't know how to deal with them, or you feel overwhelmed by them. You may feel the new country you're in is too polluted or overcrowded. You feel frustrated because you can't identify the ingredients in your food, or maybe you're uncomfortable because as a woman you're restricted in what you wear or people you're allowed to interact with. You may be struggling to learn the language and you can't seem to communicate with anyone, or feel frustrated because you didn't think you'd experience language problems because you're in a host country that speaks English, but you can't understand anyone because their accents are so different, or haven't made out the meanings of many of the slang terms used. You may find yourself developing a negative and overly simplified view of people and the culture of the host country you're in. You may also feel really misunderstood by others, or that people are insensitive to the struggles you experience. During this time, you may feel confused, frustrated, dissatisfied, angry, lonely, or impatient. The next phase is called the negotiation phase. As you become more familiar with your host country's culture and interpret subtle cultural cues and are better able to converse with others, you're better able to cope with the problems you encounter. You begin to adjust your dress, enjoy the different tastes of food, understand what some of the slang terms mean. You're learning the lingo, and your ability to speak a new language begins to improve, especially if you practice speaking it. You learn to deal with the problems set before you and begin to negotiate and make sense of the cultural differences. You will feel relieved, curious again, understood, and hopefully a sense of humor returns. And eventually you will find you're able to function in your new culture with the differences you're experiencing. In this stage of culture shock, the cultural differences and cultural similarities are valued and enjoyed. You begin to integrate and create a new worldview and new beliefs about your own and other cultures. As this happens, you will often feel more confident, in control again, independent, able to express yourself to others, and more creative. Please keep in mind, culture shock is not necessarily a linear process or the same process for everyone. You may not experience all the stages or experience them in this order. You may also find that you go through these stages of culture shock more than one time during your time away. The important thing to keep in mind is that cultural shock is normal. However, there are things you can do to help alleviate culture shock and adjust with greater ease to your new environment. First of all, before you leave, if you are now taking any prescribed medications, be sure to check with your doctor, your medical, eye, or dental providers before leaving, and make sure you have enough medication to last your entire time away. In addition, there are some recommended over-the-counter items to bring, such as aspirin or Tylenol, vitamin or mineral supplements, antacids, motion sickness tablets, decongestants, and water purification tablets. In addition, be sure to visit your primary physician at St. Mary's. Make sure you are also updated on travel health advisories and health recommendations for the area you're traveling to. You can obtain these by visiting the Centers for Disease Control or World Health Organization websites indicated here. Also, make sure you have obtained all your required immunizations. Some other helpful tips that will help ease your transition and adjust you to your new environment are: speak the language as much as possible. Read and learn about your host country, history, and people. Talk with your friends about how you're feeling. Stay connected with others. Try not to judge others right away. If you're feeling judgmental or finding it difficult to accept aspects of the new culture you're experiencing, you may need to adjust your expectations and beliefs about how things should be. Don't forget to relax, meditate, exercise, do those things you normally do here to cope. And remember to reflect on the good things about this experience. If you're experiencing anxiety or uncertainty or want to talk with someone about your concerns and struggles studying abroad before or after you leave, please call CAPS, USF's Counseling and Psychological Services. We offer free confidential psychotherapy and support groups, extensive referral lists for mental health services off campus, online mental health assessments, and substance abuse assessment referrals. We have many students who contact us after their study abroad due to struggling with something called reverse culture shock. Upon returning home, you may experience frustration or disappointment because people close to you react different than you expected. You may be frustrated that family or friends can't truly understand what you've been through or don't want to hear all the details of your trip. Some students return frustrated and angry that Americans just don't get it. For most of you, and hopefully all of you, this experience will significantly impact you. You will return home changed in some ways, while your friends may or may not have, which can feel alienating and lonely. So please contact CAPS and talk to someone if you're struggling to readjust when you return. To contact CAPS for an appointment, call 422-6352 to schedule an initial half-hour triage appointment via phone. Our office hours are 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and we have some limited evening appointments available. We're located on the lower level of Gilson Hall. Finally, and most importantly, understand that culture shock is normal. Be patient. It takes time to adjust.
Health abroad. Consider the following health tips to help reduce your risk of getting sick while abroad. Water. Find out whether the local tap water is drinkable. In developing areas, avoid drinking tap water or adding ice to beverages. Drink only bottled water or carbonated drinks from cans or bottles. Food. While your stomach may adjust to the difference in the local cuisine, you may want to include some familiar foods in your diet. However, avoid food from street vendors and eat only food that has been fully cooked and served hot. Travelers' diarrhea is quite common for those who are careless with what they eat or drink. Respiratory sickness. Travelers can experience respiratory sickness like the common cold, so it is important to maintain a balanced diet, stay hydrated, and get plenty of rest. Wash your hands often with soap and water, or use alcohol-based hand gel to clean your hands to get rid of germs. Mental health. Maintain a balanced lifestyle and try to do the things you do back at home to ease stress, such as exercise, yoga, stay in touch with family and friends. As a reminder, if you have any pre-existing medical condition, physical or learning disability, it is in your best interest to disclose this information to the Study Abroad office so arrangements can be made in advance. It is important to seek support in order to help maintain your physical and emotional well-being while studying abroad. Insurance. All students participating in USF-sponsored and external study abroad programs are required to have primary domestic health insurance and overseas supplemental insurance. Primary domestic health insurance is very important, and you should not cancel your primary insurance even though you will be living in a different country. If you cancel your primary insurance and experience a major sickness or injury while abroad and need extended care when you return back to the United States, you will be denied insurance coverage because of a pre-existing condition. So do not cancel your primary insurance. On the other hand, most primary domestic health insurance plans have limited international coverage. As such, you must obtain overseas supplemental health insurance that covers emergency medical evacuation and repatriation in case you become seriously sick or injured. USF-sponsored program participants will have automatic supplemental emergency travel and medical assistance free of charge through ACE EuroAssist. Whereas participants in external study abroad programs must purchase Wells Fargo outbound student insurance if you're not currently enrolled in USF's Student ENA plan, or if your host program's plan or your primary insurance does not include overseas emergency medical coverage and repatriation and 24-hour emergency assist services abroad. For questions regarding insurance requirements, please consult with a study abroad advisor.
If you are participating in a USF-sponsored program, you pay USF tuition to USF for USF credits. Since you are registered at USF, all USF aid transfers, including federal and state aid, as well as loans, accept federal work study. You must be enrolled in the equivalent of at least 12 USA units. All of your financial aid will go towards paying USF tuition for the semester and program fees. If you have excess funds after paying your USF bill, you will receive a refund by either check or directly deposited to your account. Excess funds can be used towards any part of your study abroad. For more information or to sign up for direct deposit, visit www.usfca.edu/refund or speak with a financial aid advisor at the One Stop. External program participants file a leave of absence with USF and pay fees directly to the host program or school. No USF aid will transfer toward your study abroad. If you are currently receiving federal or state aid, you must put your loans in deferment or forbearance. Please consult with a financial aid advisor at the One Stop to discuss how to reserve a Cal Grant for your return semester or to seek further advice regarding financial aid.
Before your departure, make sure you have selected preliminary courses at your host institution. To determine whether or not these courses will meet USF requirements, you must fill out a petition to enroll at another institution or PEAI form. Bring the completed form along with course descriptions or syllabi to the Transfer Center in Lone Mountain Room 200 for initial review and approval. You also want to discuss these courses with your academic advisor and CASA to make sure they can count toward major or minor requirements and confirm that you are meeting the university residency requirement. For certain programs, you may not be able to register for courses until you arrive at the host institution. If this is the case, you should initiate the review process by emailing course information to transfer@usfca.edu.
Make sure you clear up any financial holds before you leave that can prevent you from registering for the following semester. If you are participating in a USF-sponsored program and you have been accepted, drop your USF courses and immediately inform the Center for Global Education. The Study Abroad office will register you under the appropriate Study Abroad course number. As for students who are accepted to an external program, you must complete a leave of absence form and submit it to the one-stop office for processing. A leave of absence form informs the university that you will be returning to USF and your student record will remain active while you are away.
If you add, drop, or take any courses that are not listed on your original PEAI form after beginning your program, email the Transfer Center at transfer@usfca.edu. Be sure to keep your course syllabi and course descriptions for evaluation. We cannot guarantee that courses reviewed retroactively will meet the USF requirements you request that they fulfill.
To register for courses for your semester back at USF, be sure to keep an eye out for a USF Connect email informing you about web registration. Registration for the fall semester usually takes place around mid-April, and registration for the spring semester takes place around early November. Since you will be registering for your courses while abroad, make sure you know your exact registration access time. Access times are based on Pacific Standard Time, so you will most likely be registering late in the evening or very early in the morning. Also, you need to communicate with your academic advisor or dean through email prior to registering. Be sure to write them in advance about the courses you want to take or any other special circumstances you may have. They will need to lift your advising hold before it is your time to register. As mentioned in the previous slide, you want to make sure you clear up any other academic or financial holds that might prevent you from registering. If you come across any problems, you can contact the One Stop office at onestop@usfca.edu.
Any changes you make to your course schedule after you arrive at your program must be properly documented and evaluated through the completion of a retroactive PEAI. Again, save any course descriptions and/or syllabi for the courses you complete. Without this information, all courses will transfer back as elective credits.
When requesting your official transcripts from your host program, be sure to have it mailed to the University of San Francisco Center for Global Education office at 2130 Fulton Street, UC 5th floor, San Francisco, California, zip code 94117. Once the registrar's office receives your official transcript, your courses will be transferred in based on the information listed on your PEAI. For students who participated in a USF-sponsored program, your courses, credits, and grades will appear on your USF transcript, and the grades will count towards your overall USF GPA. For students who participate in an external program, pre-approved credits will transfer back to USF with courses fulfilling for major, minor, core, and elective credits. The grades will not be calculated towards your USF GPA. Any questions regarding pass-fail options must be discussed with your host program school and your academic dean. Should you decide to pursue a pass-fail option, please note that your course will only count as elective credit. Any course, major, and minor classes abroad must be taken with the letter grade. Please note, USF and Center for Global Education cannot change grades. A disagreement about a grade must be resolved with your host program/host institution abroad.
You will be in a different country, different city, different institution. Expect that your academics will be different. In most cases, you will receive syllabi for your courses at the beginning of the semester abroad. Understand their grading system. You will be expected to be more independent, self-disciplined, self-motivated, and to be actively involved in the educational process. As you know, USF provides students with learning disabilities a number of accommodations. Your host institution abroad may not be so flexible, but you should always consult with a host institution or your study abroad advisor to inquire about the options that might be available for you. Our office has been successful in communicating with our partners abroad to provide additional test time, note takers, and accommodations for students with learning disabilities. You will be required to provide proof of your learning disability in the form of a letter from the USF's Student Disability Services and/or your medical physician. It is your responsibility to arrange housing accommodations with your host program. Students select housing either during the application process, after you've been accepted to the program, or when you arrive to your study abroad destination. Housing options vary by program and may consist of on-campus housing, apartment, or homestay. Some programs offer only one option, while others offer all options. When selecting housing, you should consider the price, proximity to the school, autonomy, flatmates, and neighborhood reputation. You are responsible for your housing fees. Contact your study abroad advisor if you have any questions about housing costs. It is your responsibility to arrange housing when you return from your study abroad. If you are trying to receive USF housing upon return, apply now. Go to www.usfca.edu/housing. Click Quick Links and then USF Rooms and select the semester or academic year you are applying for. You are not guaranteed USF housing, but the sooner you apply, the better chances you have in obtaining housing through USF. Check your USF email regularly while you are abroad for updated information from the housing office. You can also check our Study Abroad Facebook page as students who are leaving for their study abroad post their sublets. Before you decide to withdraw from your study abroad, you should first speak with your host coordinator and your Center for Global Education study abroad advisor. There may be financial and academic consequences for withdrawal, and you should refer to USF's academic calendar for withdrawal deadlines. Know about penalties and refund policies before making your final decision. Many students plan to study abroad for an academic year. If you only plan to study abroad for one semester and decided that another semester is something you want to do, contact your CGE study abroad advisor with your intent. We will give you next steps on what you must accomplish in order to continue your study abroad for another semester. We want all of our students to graduate on time within 4 years, so planning your courses during the second semester will be a priority. Get in contact with the Transfer Center for preliminary course equivalencies. You will also need to consult with your academic advisor and dean's office for specific graduation requirements and how they can be fulfilled during your second semester abroad. You will need to complete another set of pre-departure documents.
Safety, legal concerns, and customs. All students should be smart and safe when they travel abroad. Here are some important topics to consider in addition to attending a mandatory orientation session coordinated by your host institution or study abroad program when you arrive. To start, we highly recommend that you register your travel plans with the U.S. Embassy and enroll in a Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. By doing so, the U.S. Embassy can better assist you in case of emergency, including informing you if there was a family emergency back in the United States or if there is a crisis where you are traveling. Alcohol consumption in many countries is quite different from the United States. Please drink responsibly if you're legally allowed to drink in your host country. The alcohol content in some countries is much higher, so your behavior while under the influence might lead to arrest, serious accident or injury, including death, and you may become a target for harassment, robbery, or sexual assault. Furthermore, you are representing the University of San Francisco, and we expect our students to conduct themselves accordingly. Be aware of your surroundings at all times when you explore your new city. Always stay alert and avoid using your headphones while you walk or on public transit. Practice personal safety as you would here in San Francisco. Never travel alone, especially at night, and do not hitchhike. Keep your host program, resident advisor, roommate, or host family aware of your independent travels, and be political and culturally aware. As such, stay away from and do not participate in political demonstrations as they can easily turn violent. Obeying the law. Breaking the law at the minimum will get you dismissed from your host program and possibly deported from your host country. Please take the time to learn the laws of your host country. You will find out that many countries do not offer the same freedoms and rights you are familiar here with in the United States. If you're arrested, there's little the U.S. Embassy can do. They can visit, advise, and contact your family for you. They cannot intercede in the legal process, represent you at the trial, or pay you legal fees. Drugs. Do not, under any circumstances, buy, sell, or use illegal drugs. Stay away from illegal drugs or anyone who uses or sells them. Never transport or deliver a package for anyone. Some countries have severe penalties for drug use and possession. If convicted, you may face heavy fines, long jail time, and in some countries, you may be sentenced to death. Do not take this lightly when it comes to drugs and alcohol use while abroad. You will be subject to your host country's laws and regulations. Take personal responsibility in protecting your safety and health.
This is a list of personal documents you should have with you as you depart for your study abroad. Make sure your passport is up to date and does not expire soon. The expiration date, at the very least, should not be until 6 months after your study abroad. If your study abroad country requires a visa, you must apply and receive a visa prior to entering your country. If you need assistance on applying for a visa, want clarification on visa requirements for your study abroad country, contact the Center for Global Education. Always carry your health insurance card and your emergency overseas medical and travel insurance information. If you are an international student, bring with you your J1 or F1 visa. Some programs offer group flight travel with other students on the same program. Traveling with a group or as an individual is your decision. Most students will purchase tickets on an individual basis through discount travel sites. Some are listed in this presentation. Find out from your host institution if there is an airport pickup, the dates, and times. Always have with you the address you need to get to, translated to the language of your host country. If airport transportation to your school or living situation is not provided, or if your flight is delayed and you cannot arrive during the designated airport pickup times, you will need to use public transportation or a taxi. Money is a very important part of studying abroad, so you should manage it properly. You can start by learning the current exchange rate of your country by visiting the website in this presentation. Contact your bank and credit card companies to let them know you will be traveling outside of the United States for the duration of your study abroad. Then they will know not to put a hold on your account when you use your cards abroad. When contacting your bank, find out if they have branch locations at your study abroad country. Large bank corporations may also have sister banks abroad where you can obtain your cash without fees. Make note of these locations and proximity to your school or housing so you can access your funds when needed. If you do not have access to your bank, you can still access your money using third-party ATMs who will charge you fees each time you make a transaction. Consider opening a new bank account that has a branch in the city or country you will be studying in. Credit cards are widely accepted in most countries. When contacting your credit cards, ask them if they charge foreign transaction fees and/or foreign exchange rate fees. These fees, although nominal per transaction, can add up. If your credit card does bill you, consider leaving that card at home or opening a credit card that does not charge you these fees. We advise all students to write down their credit card or bank card numbers with the corresponding telephone numbers and give them to your parents or someone you trust. In the event that you lose your wallet and your cards, you will be able to inform someone to get your cards canceled and replaced. We recommend that you exchange currency at your local bank before you depart. You should have enough local currency in your pocket to pay for a cab, a few meals, and a night's stay. Never carry more than you need for the day or weekend. If you need to exchange currency or withdraw money from your bank, go inside the bank during the day instead of an outdoor ATM. We highly recommend you purchase a small handbook about the country you are visiting to understand local customs, learn about places to visit, and know simple phrases. In certain countries, locals may get offended if you tip after a meal. Even simple hand gestures used daily in the United States can have very different meanings in your host country. In most programs, you will likely go through an orientation at your host institution. It is important that you receive orientation from your host institution to learn about the city, school, and culture of your new surroundings. From all of us at the Center for Global Education, we wish you a safe, healthy, and fruitful study abroad. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions.